Hello everyone, it's Miss Thomas, and today we are going to be exploring periodic data. A periodic function is a function that repeats a pattern of outputs at regular intervals. So remember, your outputs are your y values. A cycle is one complete pattern, and a period is the horizontal length of a cycle. All right, let's look at these two examples. And both of them we're trying to determine if it's periodic and if it is, what its period is. So you can see that there's clearly a pattern with both of these functions. Pattern A increases continually over time, though. So even though I'm going up by a slope of 2, down by a slope of 1, up by a slope of 2, down by a slope of 1, I'm constantly increasing. There's no repeat of any one section. Whereas in function 2, you can see, if we kind of look at it from peak to peak, which is generally the easiest way to determine a period, there's this repetition here. Or you could look at it from sort of the minimum to minimum. So here's a minimum, 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 and you can see that these sections repeat exactly. They're mirror images of each other. So this is not periodic, but function B is periodic. So to find the period, we really want to find the distance between x values that begin and end a cycle. One period begins at -4 and ends at 0, which gives a period length of 4 here. The next one begins at 0, ends at +4. These are the x values. So it also has a period of 4. You do want to double check. So the period is 4 units, because it takes 4 units to get from the beginning of a cycle to the end of a cycle. Midline is the horizontal line midway between the max and the min. So it's basically the average of the max and the min. So if we look at this function, it has a maximum value at these points right here, which, given that this is 4, this should be 2, which makes this value 3. So the maximum value happens at y equals 3, and then the minimum values occur where y equals 0. So the midline is going to happen where y equals 1.5. Which is here. So the amplitude is then 1/2 the max minus the min. And it's a measure of the variation in the function itself. So the amplitude is also 1.5, which won't always match the equation of the midline. It's really just because the minimum value is 0 that the two match. But to be clear, the amplitude is really the distance. The amplitude is really the distance between the midline and the bottom, or the midline and the top. Sketch the graph of a sound wave with a period of 2, amplitude of 3, and midline of 0.5. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to take care of is the midline. If the midline is 0.5, you're going to find it here. All right, then you're going to want to figure out, based on the period, mark out your period. So if we're starting at 0, sort of make these intervals that are 2 units long. Okay. Okay, so the amplitude is 3, which means from that midline I am going up and down 3 units. So you should probably find the halfway point because a sound curve is going to be a sine or a cosine curve, which you'll see a lot more of later in the unit. But you need to just go up 1, 2, 3 units. And then you want to go down 3 units as well and complete an entire period in those 2 units that you were given. And it's going to repeat again. And again.